Respawn has blown a perfect opportunity to resuscitate its game that was in decline until Season 2 garnered some interest, and the recent update to add a solos mode to the game for a limited time, considering the influx of players that are abandoning ship with Fortnite due to Epic's asinine design decision behind the Brute vehicles, including them in competitive playlists. Yet they're meant to be for lesser skilled players to squish the skill gap, even though, unlike Fortnite events, Apex Legends competitive tournaments are being delayed on their TV release because some dumb shits wrongly correlate video game violence with mass shootings. Instead, the Iron Crown event has been a complete disaster, culminating in the Lord and Savior Vince Zampella having to apologize on Twitter for the situation that has been created by both players and developers on Reddit. The problem stems from the monetization scheme of the Iron Crown event, which has EA's fingerprints all over it. When initially dropped, there are lots of event-specific ways to play dress up with in an FPS shown off in the trailer. However, these items are only available in limited time crates and take a new type of in-game currency called crowns to further obfuscate how much money you're spending on the game by adding an element of confusion and indirection. The amount of items that have been added in the game requires you to open 24 loot boxes to obtain all of them. However, you can only acquire 2 of these by completing in-game tasks and challenges, thus leaving someone needing to purchase with actual money the remaining 22 boxes, and someone did the math, it would take upwards of $154 in order to get all of them. Additionally, there is a Bloodhound heirloom set that is also shown off in the trailer, in which Respawn graciously gave us the chance to purchase it directly instead of praying to the RNGesus or opening 500 boxes to guarantee the only other heirloom set for Wraith. However, you could purchase the set for an additional $35 only after unlocking all the Iron Crown event items, bringing your total purchase price for all of these to north of $200. Obviously, the supercalifragilisticexpial atrocious way of monetizing an event has led to fan backlash on Reddit, which they obviously didn't learn from Zampella's former bosses at Activision and Treyarch with the way that they did events in Black Ops 4 by having a separate contraband stream for limited time events being only purchasable via COD points instead of how it's done in a game like Fortnite, whereby limited time events always have rewards that can be earned via playing the game, which of course led to fan outrage since that is a full priced offering, actually half price if you include the Black Ops pass. So in response to this criticism, Respawn posted a blog update about the Iron Crown event by highlighting changes to how items are now obtained. However, instead of allowing players to earn these items by playing the game and thus increasing the player retention in the process, they decided to sell the 12 legendary items for 1,800 Apex coins each, which is roughly $18, and to make matters worse, are released in groups of 5 for 3 days each, according to this calendar shown on screen here, so get them all you can. Additionally, they indicated that the messaging of expectations for the events needs to be clearer, considering that the structure is different from the Legendary Hunt event in Season 1, and other future events may also be different. And by different, of course, they mean increased monetization and even less free rewards, when you directly compare that Legendary Hunt rewarded items via completing challenges and even gave away items for free to Battle Pass owners, whereas even with the updated method of rewarding players during the Iron Crown, the amount of items granted for just playing the game is minuscule, with others locked behind an RNG crate. However, the real issue came with the comments to this post, as again, players were rightfully agitated about how wrongly Respawn went about addressing their concerns, with boiling them down to a lack of setting expectations before an event took place and allowing players to directly purchase cosmetics instead of them being in RNG boxes, which is a step in the right direction. However, they're still not earnable or grindable through in-game tasks. Some developers at Respawn, specifically a project lead and community manager, then engaged in antagonistic behavior, including replies like,
"I've been in the industry long enough to remember when players weren't complete asshats to developers, and it was pretty neat. Would be awesome to get back there, and not engaging with toxic people or asking how high when a mob screams jump is hopefully a start.
And
the amount of people who spend is crazy low. Most of y'all are freeloaders, and we love that."
Now, the second one is clearly a tongue-in-cheek sarcastic reply, but since tone is impossible to convey, even with the qualifier afterwards, it really wasn't a good choice of words, considering the negative connotation of the word freeloader, since, you know, you need to have tons of people playing the game in order for a massive server-filled battle royale to work at all. See other dead ones that would love to have some freeloaders just populating the servers in the first place. That then attracts other players that do actually spend money on games. That's how it works after all. However, the first one, where he generalizes players being assets to developers, is just not a good look at all, considering that there are tons of constructive criticism and feedback that needs to be addressed that's also lumped in with the, let's be honest, players being assets to developers. Some of the other comments that are ruffling people's feathers, I don't really mind as much, considering I'm not above punching downwards, as people may have seen in my comment section. Maybe that's why I get shit for views on my YouTube YouTube videos. Whoopsie. But the developer calling this person a dick that clearly deserved it, even though he does make a good point in that first line that is criticized, where he says, I remember a time when developers weren't money-grabbing fucks scamming their players too, and when the community manager makes a quip about reading comprehension when this comment is clearly off base, which I've done in the past in those same exact words. The reason why I have a problem with the other comments that I mentioned earlier is that the attack goes beyond just the person that is being responded to, with generalizing players as freeloaders and asshats versus saying this person is a dick and your reading comprehension sucks. That makes a ton of difference, because now I, someone that doesn't attack developers directly, am being painted with this broad brush that doesn't reflect my actions. Now, this is certainly a way to alienate your player base. However, Vince Zampella in his statement talked about death threats and ad hominem attacks, which immediately ruins any conversation about the actual criticism of how this Iron Crown event has worked, and instead changes the focus to how toxic gamers can be, with people even replying to the tweet in defense of the developers that lashed out on Reddit in the first place. Attacking people directly instead of attacking the problem does the exact opposite of what you wanted to do if you actually care about the thing you're getting upset about, and if you're just being a troll to hop on a hate bandwagon, well, then you're just a douche canoe twat waffle. However, Respawn still has to answer for their design decisions regarding this event. By not addressing the core issue of not allowing players to earn the cosmetic items by completing in-game challenges only, which both increases player retention with having more people trying to grind the game to get all of those items, and doesn't make it look like this is just a cash grab by paywalling items. That is what some of the, quote, toxic comments have alluded to. Additionally, the fix of allowing a second method for getting these cosmetic items out of both loot boxes, which preys on people that have gambling and or shopping addictions, and directly purchasing for 1,800 Apex coins, but only on 3-day sale increments, is also psychological manipulation for people that have anxiety with fear of missing out or FOMO, and OCD completionists that want all of the items for their favorite legend or more, does all of the scummy things that the community validly pointed out with the first method of how items are earned. So the found the dick comment in response to the rhetorical question of players not being asshats to developers with developers not scamming players is a fair criticism, since these psychologically manipulated surprise mechanics, which prey on inherent weaknesses and flaws in the human condition to wring money out of people, is also a newer concept that is motivated by pure avarice and greed. So yes, I'd like to return to a time before gaming companies just thought with their fucking bottom line and not about how the game experience is for the fucking rest of us. Additionally, in that freeloaders comment, the project lead indicated that even when items are on sale, they aren't being bought in droves as a response to suggestions to lower prices for items. Here's the problem with their line of thinking, though. Due to another psychological tactic called obfuscation that causes confusion and doesn't allow people to know exactly how much real money is being spent because it's being converted into another intermediary currency, you can only purchase increments of Apex coins, not the exact amount that you need to buy items, which, by the way, is purposefully not priced on those boundary points, so that even if an 1,800 Apex coins legendary item goes on sale for 33%, as is being done right fucking meow in the store, it will still cost 1,200 Apex coins. However, you can only purchase 1,000 coins for $9.99 or 2,150 for $19.99. So even when items are on sale, you'll still need to pay the exact same amount to get the correct amount of coins to obtain said item, because they're only sold in bundles. Not to mention a skin for a single legend, which you may not be able to play as all the time if the other people on your team are dicks and pick the one that you like, but it shouldn't cost that amount of money in the first place, considering it's a first-person shooter. The only time you see your outfit is on the character selection screen, and immersion breaking times it goes into the third person while skydiving from the ship or balloons or during executions. I always hate comparing two games, because then we're constantly moving the goalposts in terms of what's acceptable for monetization, but I feel it's relevant here to discuss that Fortnite offers wraps for all weapons, unlike Apex Legends that does individual weapon skins, which you might not even find during the course of the match to use, but they also cost 700 V-Bucks compared with a 1,200 on sale Apex coins. On a personal level, I haven't sunken a dime into Apex Legends in spite of me really enjoying the game, versus with Fortnite, I bought individual items like a skin here or there, since you always see your character, and an emote because flexing on your opponents is fucking awesome, and it's not really a concept that Apex Legends has, although with the new death screen, the voice price line and player card do become more important, but it's still not as satisfying as an emote. Not to mention, there's nothing in the Apex Battle Pass that draws me in versus the items in the Fortnite one, which I have purchased. How about this for a novel fucking idea? Make something worth purchasing in an FPS game of which character skins are inherently less valuable, so also price it accordingly, and when a sale happens, don't make it cost the same amount for a bundle as the original price. Speaking of moving the goalposts, even if Respawn did set the expectations for the event as they claimed was something they failed to do, the way that this event was handled is still worse than the prior Legendary Hunt, which didn't garner this level of negative criticism because all of the items were obtainable by completing in-game challenges, which is not the case in the Iron Crown event. And that's why it still looks like a fucking cash grab to most people. Respawn were the ones that destroyed gamers' expectations by making this event so much worse monetarily speaking than the only other event that they've had in the game, so of course that's what people are going to compare it to. As your game's life cycle goes on, if you actually do learn things, as they state in their first update post, then shit like this shouldn't happen because this is a huge step backwards. That's why I think this is more a reflection of EA than Respawn itself with how the event was laid out, considering that this isn't the first time that EA has used the "I'm sorry, we'll do better" excuse. But lashing out at valid criticism by dismissing it as toxicity is not a good look, especially in a time when Apex Legends should be growing like crazy because of how Epic has been botching Fortnite recently with its own bad design decisions. Respawn has still yet to address all of the points I've made in this video and others that have been made online, which are the real issues with the way the Iron Crown event has been handled, so we're waiting. But in the meantime, if you're going to engage in ad hominem attacks, please just unplug your keyboard because you're doing harm, not good. Anyways, what do you think about what's going on here? I've been TheSchwanz27, out like Antonio Brown's old helmet. Until next time.